Hey, welcome to Bout That Life Podcast, where we talk AAU basketball, life, and everything in between. Got a good episode for you. Got a great guest, a local guy who has been working his tail off and continues to work hard. He just got through doing a camp, and it overall sounds like it was a good success, but we'll get into that in a minute. Go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe, do the HBO special, help a brother out, help me out with the algorithm, and watch the intro and tap back in. Hey, welcome to Bout That Life Podcast. This is your host, Coach C. Collins. I have not tapped in with you guys for a minute, and I know that I have to get better at that. If obviously you've been supporting from day one, it's really appreciated. I see my numbers keep going up on the audio side for sure. On YouTube, I'm tapping in little by little by little. For sure on my personal YouTube, people have been subscribing, liking, and sharing, and obviously on Instagram and TikTok as well. So, again, thank you for all that. I love when I hear feedback from people in the gym. They come up to me like, hey, man, listen to your podcast. I've learned a lot. Like, I've been listening to a lot of people and your guests. It's been helping my son, my daughter. Before we get into the bulk of the show, let me give a quick shout out to my sponsors. Shout out to Dr. Dish, best shooting machine on the market. I suggest you guys tap in with them. They have multiple versions. They need to get reps. That's the easiest way to get reps. My other sponsor, Hardwood Palace. Look up Hardwood Palace in Rocklin, California. You can't miss us. We're the only thing here, and they'll be able to get you in and out and get you some good quality basketball games. So, with being through all that, let me get to my guests. I have watched this young man's career from afar for a while. Me being kind of OG now, so I'm wearing that more and more, but. No, he's had a really good, solid career. He's still in the midst of his career. That was your first camp, right?
Yeah.
So we'll tap more into that. But for sure, if you're in Sacramento, if you're Sacramento, Rocklin, Folsom, whatnot, you know this guy. Really good, in my opinion, a people's champ. Everybody's out here rooting for him. You'll get a feel of who he is today. But without further ado, let me introduce Jordan Ford. Thanks for being on the show, brother.
I appreciate you having me on the show. Yeah, glad to be here.
Okay, so let's get right to it. First question I always pretty much ask my guests before we get more into who you are, your basketball background, things like that. What do you overall think of AAU basketball as it currently sits today in 2024?
Yeah, so AAU basketball today, I feel like there's some good things, some bad things. Good things being that it's a great opportunity to be able to play against some of the highest level competition. Like if we're talking high school, they got different circuits out there, like the EYBL circuit, for example, which is going to attract some of the top talent. When I was playing in the EYBL, and I'm sure this is still how it is today, but we were playing against, future NBA guys every single night. Build up that confidence to tell yourself, I can really compete with these guys. Like I have a chance to do something special. And I would say, going off of that, though, some of the bad things, from AAU when you're small to even high school, just rolling the ball out and, just letting the kids play. There's no real structure. It's kind of just, you put in a few plays here and there, but you're really just rolling the ball out and, trying to play games. And I think
you think we're going away from like teaching and development a little bit?
Definitely, teaching kids how to play the game the right way, especially at these higher levels. You got to start teaching the kids how to play the right way, because if you look over in Europe, you can tell the people that come over to the NBA, they really know how to play the game the right way. And, I think we should, treat our youth the same way and, just teach them how to play the right way.
Okay. And we'll get obviously more into the topics of that. But before we get more into that, I want people to kind of get a general sense of who you are. you can, feel free, give me like a, brief synopsis of your basketball background, obviously high school, collegiately, professionally, and your AAU experience as well. So yeah, just, tell the people who you are.
I started playing basketball when I was 4 years old, recreationally, and started training when I was 8 years old. My dad was my first trainer, and we just basically we would pop in Gannon Baker videos and basically just do it yourself. We take a look at that. We go to the gym for a couple hours. From there, I ended up going to Folsom High School. So I'm from Sacramento originally, and I played 4 years there. I worked hard enough to where I got a Division I scholarship to play at St. Mary's College under Randy Bennett. Did a lot of great things, and these past few years, I played a few years in the G League. I even had a stint in Greece. My first NBA opportunity with the Sacramento Kings. It's been great so far.
Nice. What's the biggest word of advice you can give to these young athletes that are trying to essentially be where you're at? Obviously, there's a series of things that all have to fall in place, and you got to play at the right time. You got to show up at the right time. All that type of stuff.
So you have to believe in yourself. You look at me, and I'm not the typical NBA player. I'm 6 foot. I'm not crazy athletic. There's been a lot of times, a lot of people aren't going to believe that you're going to reach that dream. So you kind of have to be a little delusional in a sense.
No doubt.
And, kind of tune all that stuff out and, trust yourself, trust your work. And, you got to pretty much work harder than a lot of people. It's going to be different for me putting in the work at 6 foot, not super athletic, than it is for the 6'10" guy, which is why the formula is different for everybody.
Right.
So, believe in yourself. It's going to take a ton of hard work, a ton of sacrifice.
You got to be a little weird.
You definitely got to be a little weird, make some sacrifices. Right. And, it's so easy to get distracted in so many different other places. But, if you always put the work first and just focus on improving yourself, you'll find yourself in a better place tomorrow. One more thing, I would say, one thing that you can always control is your attitude. Let's say you're on a team, you're not playing as much. Like, you get into college, somebody's playing in front of you. That happened to me. You have to make sure that your attitude is still on point because you can only control what you can control.
And well, talking about Sacramento, right, and the landscape of basketball culture, I feel for sure in the last, you could say, pre-COVID and for sure post-COVID, I think Sacramento basketball has really been thriving, right? Obviously with the Kings when they made it to the playoffs and been winning and things like that, and then even DP with the Sac State girls, wasn't this past year, but the year before that they won the conference. They did a pretty solid job at Sac State basketball. You had Sac High win section back-to-back. So you just kind of see Sacramento basketball's kind of in a nice spot, right? It's booming right now. For you, seeing from the outside looking in, what's your overall take where the basketball community sits today?
I think it's in a good spot. One thing that I've noticed, kids are really good. Sometimes, they'll go out of Sacramento and go to these different areas like, LA or different spots. And I believe that you can make it anywhere if you're good enough, and I want to encourage, the basketball community in Sacramento to hopefully keep the talent in Sacramento, find a way to keep the talent here in Sacramento so we can all, come and enjoy what we brought to the table. And,
see, y'all, I'm not the only one that says this because you just echo what I say a lot.
I thought there was nothing cooler than being able to play in my hometown where the community could come and
represent your hometown, right? Yeah. I'm big on that. That's just something I'm big on. I grew up in Oakland, but even when I grew up in Oakland, I took a lot of pride representing Oakland. Obviously, I'm 41. I'm older than you, but I was playing for the Oakland Rebels, and I took a lot of pride in doing that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I can relate and get where you're coming from. And Sacramento's my second home, my home now. I think watching guys like yourself, Jordan Brown when he was here, just all those guys, I just see our best talent always end up playing for somewhere else. Now I get it. Yeah. That's what I'm competing for, right? Even as an AAU director, I'm trying to get to that stage, right? It just what I always tell Marcus, and I've said to him, I said it takes if 10 kids, top kids in the area, just said, you know what? Irregardless what everybody's offering, we're going to stick on one team out here. We're going to stick together, and we just going to beat all these guys and put us on that stage. Because, right, like you said, if you're good enough, you're good enough. I think that could get Sacramento over the hump. But the hard part is everybody would have to put their resources together, put their egos aside. You know what I mean? And
Definitely,
I think that's the hardest part. So I'm just glad to hear somebody else say it.
Yeah, definitely.
Your journey, you know, being like you said, playing in the G League, and you know, making it to that level. How hard is it? Like, let's be quite frank. How hard? How much work do you put in? How many hours would you say, you know, on a daily basis you put in on your craft and into being successful?
It's a ton of work.
Yeah.
It's a ton of work, and it's not like, you know, on and off.
Right.
You know, it's not on and off. It's an everyday commitment that you make to yourself on a daily basis. I mean, you have team practice, you have lift, and then you have to make sure, you know, you get your skill work in. That I'm, you know, getting older, it's like you have to make sure you take care of your body. Yeah. And if you want to come back at night, get some extra shots.
Yeah, and
like,
I was saying that's not even including your extra time.
when I was, you know, middle school, high school, we had team practices. I had AU practice. I had, you know, high school practice. So usually those would run for about 2 hours. I got at least 2 hours of skill work in.
Okay.
That was my formula for me. That's what worked. And then we played a bunch of games on the weekends. We were playing so many games, just getting that experience. And I will say, like, you want to find a team that that you can develop on. You know, you don't want to be, you know, sitting on the bench and, you know, not playing. You want to find the best situation for yourself.
Okay.
And that's going to help you advance your game. So, yeah, that would be some advice that I would give.
Okay. And then, so I want you to reflect on your career thus far. What keeps you going? Like, what makes you, you know, outside of, I mean, obviously the dream, everybody wants to put on an NBA jersey, right, and get out there and play. But outside of that, when you know, when your body's tired, when you're sore, when you're, you know, putting in, like you said, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, what makes you wake up the next day? All right, time to do it again.
Man, I've been doing it. I've been doing this for so long, and I love it. It's pretty easy for me to wake up and be like, okay, like I'm gonna go play basketball.
Right.
I love doing everything about it. I love the process of, you know, getting better. When I run into adversity, I'm like, okay, how am I gonna get through this? Like, I love the whole process of, you know, everything that comes with basketball.
Nice. And I want to also, well, before we talk more about professionally, I kind of want your take. Now that you're out of college and you're seeing the landscape of college and how it's changing, let's talk. Well, it's a two-parter question, but first, let's talk about the transfer portal. What are your thoughts on that? What is your outlook on that? Because you stayed at your college all 4 years, right?
I did.
Yeah, and that's nowadays doesn't seem to be the norm. So for someone who did the all 4 years and, like you said, you had a good career, and now you're seeing this thing take over where, you know, kind of people are all over the place year after year. And obviously there's some really good successful stories like Jalen Wells, Zach Chappelle, obviously things like that, Kai. But, you know, that's not everybody's story, right? So I'm just curious, for someone who's removed out of it, but you're still young enough, you know, you were a part of that. What's your take on it, or what do you think about it so far?
I'll say this. I think that it's about time that the players do get compensated.
Okay.
I've been pushing for that for a long time.
Yep.
And I'm glad that they're getting, you know, what they deserve. And with that being said, I want to encourage the kids not to make it all about the money.
Okay.
And to, you know, you kind of got to find that balance of finding that right fit for your future career, but also, you know, if you can get compensated with money, like, that's also a good thing. I think that's a good thing for college athletes, but not to get blindsided by just, you know, this school's offering me this much, this school's offering me this much. I think you have to, you know, keep in mind, you know, you want to play after college, you want to be a professional, so you're going to have that opportunity to go play and show what you can do and find a place where you can really develop. You know, some quick money for 3-4 years, it's okay, but, you know, if you want to have a 15-20 year career, then, you know, you're going to have to make it out of college.
Do you think at some point the NCAA or something's going to happen to where they regulate this transfer portal. They have been making new rules, like kind of to where, okay, like for instance, I was Coach Barnes. He talked about this. Brandon Barnes from Bakersfield. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos, but he talked about on his Instagram that colleges now, when they recruit kids, right? If they enter the transfer portal, they still have to like keep that kid until he finds another school. If you wanted to leave St. Mary's, you say, okay, I want to enter the transfer portal. St. Mary's is still obligated to keep your spot. Now the quote unquote backlash to that, it makes recruitment that much tighter. I know
this kid is halfway in, halfway out. Exactly. We don't know what we don't know if we're gonna.
I don't know if I'm gonna take that kid if he's halfway in, halfway out, because I'm kind of stuck with him. Because let's say he's unhappy, and he's there, but now he comes back, but I know I'm not gonna play him, but I'm stuck giving him that spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really didn't know that was the case.
Yeah, that's another rule they just put in. So I personally think it's gonna lean towards NCAA is gonna start making some regulations. I don't know when that's going to be implemented.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that was the case.
Yeah.
To where, the coach is forced to
they're kind of forced.
Spot.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, that puts them in a tough position. And I don't necessarily agree with that. So, I think there should be some regulations going on.
I think it's going to be situated in a few years, which is fine. Everything evolves. The game evolves. Everything's evolved little by little. Now we're to a point, like I was joking with you about the show earlier, but now high school kids can get NIL deals. Mikey Williams, obviously being one of the bigger names that started that process. For you, do you think that's a good thing, bad thing? Like I'm a little leery when it comes to high school kids because they're so much younger and immature, obviously. Even college guys, let's be real, you're not 18 years old and all of a sudden you know life, right? You got to figure things out. But now you're giving 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds
all this money.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, because if your family's in a situation where you could use that money, it'll go a long ways. But giving a kid that much attention so early, maybe they could lose track of all the hard work that they need to put in, and they think everything is easy or whatever it is. But I could definitely see negatives and some positives.
Do you think loyalty exists anymore in like AAU basketball or college, or do you feel it's kind of half and half? I don't think there's any loyalty anymore. It used to be, like you said, some pride in sticking with your coach and your program and growing up together with your guys. That's gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I mean, even when I remember my AAU days pretty clearly.
Yeah.
You had guys going from team to team and, just jumping around, trying to find, better situations or whatever it is, or, they want to go out of town with this team or whatever it is. I feel like, but with that being said, if you have a chance to, play against higher competition.
Right.
So if you're playing on, maybe a regular AAU circuit and you're dominating that circuit, I think it's time for me to elevate my game, move on, and play against, some of the top talent. I think a player shouldn't be looked down upon for doing that.
No doubt.
They're trying to advance their game and trying to play against the best competition. So you definitely do need to find the right situation. If you're just, it doesn't work out right away, I'm going to hop to this team.
Right.
I'm going to hop to this team. I don't think that's good for anybody.
And then I don't know if you saw too, just because I want to speak on it, Jamal Crawford's been a big he's been talking a lot about AAU, and I happened to meet him because we were playing on the Made Hoop circuit, right? So I ended up meeting him and a couple other professional guys, ex-pro guys, coaching their kids, right? And I coached against his son, and he's been a big advocate of in terms of just saying parents got to chill out a little bit. Basically, that's the quick version. He's like, let coaches do their job, let kids go through the process. Rondo had a good show when he was talking about it on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Like even professional athletes are finding it frustrating to coach because so many parents are kind of like so heavily involved, and that's crazy. Like you would think if anybody you would listen to, it would be those guys.
Man, I'm telling you, if they can't get them to listen, then man, when the players are on the court and they're under the coach's control, they should let the process just happen. because it could also be bad for the kid.
Yeah.
Trying to listen to two different things, trying to listen to the coach, trying to listen to their parents who might be screaming at them to do one thing.
Right.
And they're kind of confused. I don't know what to do. And yeah, I think it's just bad for everybody involved. The coach has his plan for each kid and for the team. And I think sometimes the parents, they want their kids to succeed, that they, mess it up a little. When it's outside of the team, you can teach your kid
Right.
whatever you want to. You want to teach them, some certain skills, that's fine. But when it's under the coach's control, just let the process happen.
Exactly. And to be fair, because again, I try to look at it from all sides. I'm someone who tries to look at everything from every perspective. So I say, okay, I'm a parent, right? I got kids, right? I got 3 kids. I have 2 sons. So it's like, okay, if I'm judging the coach, right? I'm more judging, is my kid, after, let's say, 6 months, 7 months, we're going to reassess. My kid is doing this, irregardless of how the record looks, or if we're winning every game, losing every game, whatever. If I see progression in my child, and I'm noticing he's responding to this coach, then for me, I'm getting what I'm asking for,
Yes.
right? But sometimes I think parents confuse winning with development.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about it in AAU, and I'm sure you've seen it enough. You can gather super teams. You know what I mean? I could take the best kid from this team, the best kid from this team, best kid from this team, put 8 of the top kids together in 6th grade. Doesn't mean redeveloped.
Right.
That just means we won games because we're bigger, faster, stronger, whatever the case may be. Right? I'm a big proponent of at least the years from 8th grade and below. Development should be the number one piece over everything. High school, it's different because you are trying to get to a certain platform, a certain stage where you can prove yourself. So let's exclude senior year, junior year, but let's say at least 10th grade and below. Do you think that's fair?
100%. I think development is the most important thing for youth basketball. You want to focus on getting as skilled as possible and getting as good as possible. So when you do, go to high school, you can, make a big impact on your high school team and, hopefully get a Division I scholarship. But if you're just stuck on a team, let's say you have a super team, and, you're not developing, you're not building the skills to become that player you want to be, then that's going to hurt you in the long run.
Right. And let me ask you this, because I'm sure you ran into this when you were playing AU. Oh, and just because we didn't even mention it, what AU teams did you play for? Or because we didn't mention that part in the show. What teams did you play for, so the guests can know your teams?
Yeah. So growing up, my first AAU team was Team Cal. I was in the 2nd grade. That was my first one. And then from there, we went to my 3rd grade year. I went to play for the Pharaohs.
Okay. Yeah, the Pharaohs been around a long time.
Yeah, they've been around a long time. Yeah,
yep.
so I played with the Pharaohs, and I was playing with 2 teams. So I was playing with the Yellow Jackets.
Mm-hmm. Another long-standing program. If people in SAC, if you don't know, look those programs up. They've been around a while.
Yeah. So I was going back and forth between those teams. So sometimes I was playing like 8 games in a weekend, something crazy.
All right.
And one team would play up, so I'd get some experience playing up, and one team would play sometimes our own age group, and then we would play up just 1 grade. So I was getting a lot of games and a lot of experience. And then after that, I went to play with Play Hard, Play Smart.
Mm-hmm. Another long-standing program.
Yeah. Play Hard, Play Smart, 9th and part of my 10th grade year.
Okay.
And then I got an opportunity to play on the EYBL with the Oakland Soldiers.
Nice.
I took that opportunity just to advance my game and play against some top talent.
Can you talk about that Soldiers experience? Like, every kid's dream is to play. I'm currently with Adidas, right? So our top level's the 3SB. You have Under Armour. They have the UAA, Under Armour Association, and then of course still Nike YBL's the top of the totem. Can you talk about that experience for some of these kids, or people listening, like just the competitive level of it, the travel, the camaraderie, just the overall fun you had with it? Can you talk about that?
It's a big difference. It's a big difference. I was going from playing the regular circuit and high school basketball, And, a lot of times I was the best player on my team and the other team.
Yeah.
And so I go to play on the circuit. I
Right.
have to learn how to play with these other guys,
Right.
which is very, very important because, if you make it to the highest level, you're going to have to learn how to do that.
Playing your role, right?
Playing your role. Yeah, playing your role and still trying to figure out a way,
to still showcase what you can do, right?
Yeah. Playing on that circuit, man, it was unbelievable. Our first game was against Arkansas Wings. I remember it pretty clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was against Malik Monk. That was our
Wow.
first game. And I'm like, man, I don't know who this kid is, but everybody's talking about him.
Yeah.
And man, he killed it. He torched us. He torched us. He torched us. He went for like 30, and I'm like, okay, like this is the real deal. This is. I instantly called Rashid. We got a lot of work to do.
Shout out to Sean.
Yeah, no fact. We got a lot of work to do, and my experience got better and better. But it was definitely an adjustment period for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that feel? If you can describe or remember that feeling to go against a guy, like you said, that just dropped 30, and I'm sure you guys did and tried everything, but if some guys just can get buckets like that, right?
Just like there's another level. There's different levels.
Right.
To see him for the first time, it was like somebody that can really score. He can shoot, but you mix that with a whole lot of athleticism.
Yeah.
You're like, man, like this is you got a lot of work cut out for you. So you got to
Right.
make sure you get a lot better and keep improving. But but there was plenty of guys out there on the circuit that you're playing against. You're like, man, I got another tough matchup tonight.
Right.
I played against De'Aaron Fox a few times too on the circuit, which was same thing, like super athletic, super skilled.
Right.
So you got to find a way to just compete with those guys.
Okay. And funny enough, now these your teammates.
Both my teammates, yeah, definitely.
No, that's pretty good. I always try to on the show again. I want to give kids the insight. They hear it from someone like me, right? I'm coach. They're like, yeah, coach, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So that's why I like when they hear it from guys like you who like, nah, bro, it's tough at this level.
It's very tough, very tough.
Let me see. One last question before we move into our other segments. For yourself, what 5 years from now, where would you like to see yourself, or where would you like to see your aspirations in terms of, and it doesn't have to just be athletically, just in the community and in your personal life, your family life, just whatever. Like, where would you like to see yourself in like 5 to 10 years?
Be able to stick on an NBA roster. That's my goal.
Right.
To play a long career in the NBA.
Okay.
So that's been my goal. That's always going to be my goal.
No doubt.
And then in Sacramento, I want to keep giving back to the community. Things are possible with, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and you can come out of Sacramento and make it to, wherever you want to go, as long as you put the time in. But it's definitely possible.
Nice. Well, I'm going to move into hot takes. I want to throw some names at you. I want to throw some guys that I know, you've worked out with, and they listen to my show or have been on my show or things like that. But first, quick thoughts when I say their name. Kai Huntsberry.
Oh, man, hard worker.
Okay. Ghost Roberts.
Talented.
Well, you mentioned his name, Rashid Shine.
Just a warrior and the best guy.
Oh, Gus Armstead.
He is like the godfather of like pro basketball in Sacramento.
Marcellus Perry.
Very funny and can't guard me.
Drifty J.
Talented, funny. He puts together some great AAU teams on this.
He does. Ryan Sipkins.
Teaches great skills in the community.
Coleman Hawkins. I don't know if you know him, but I think you've seen his game.
Definitely, I've definitely seen his game. Talented.
Yeah, I've seen the kid. Oh, Marcus Kirkland.
One of the biggest community helpers that we have in Sacramento. Just trying to do great things for the community.
Mickey from the Yellow Jackets.
Oh, man. Longtime legend.
All right, good. No, I just wanted to get some of those names out. Go check some of these guys out, man. Go follow them on IG. These are good brothers, good people out here doing great work. So into my hot take segment, I also wanted to talk about the NBA right now. We got the Celtics and Dallas, and it's rough for Dallas right now, no doubt, but they are facing a great Celtics team. You know, well, I guess technically you shouldn't say this, but it shouldn't matter. Well, growing up, what was your favorite NBA team?
It definitely was the Sacramento Kings. Being from here, I became a Steph Curry fan as
Okay.
well.
All right.
He was my favorite player. By default, I would also root for the Warriors.
Right. I'm a Warriors fan too, so.
Yeah. But I'm a Kings. I'm a Kings
but
guy.
I was here when when we had Mike Bibby and Sewell. I was around
I was
for
so
that era
small.
too.
I was so small when that happened. But I like to follow players, and Curry was my favorite player.
Is there some like milestones for yourself that you kind of pushing for and trying to make happen for yourself?
Yeah, for this next season, it starts with summer league, having a good summer league, and just showing teams what I can do on the court and that I can help an NBA roster.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my goal, get on the NBA roster and make sure that I try and stick. And, my goal every time I step on the floor is to try to help the team win.
Yeah.
So just do what I can to contribute to wins. A kid will hit a three, he hits the gritty. He hits the gritty, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, okay, like, what are we doing? Like,
and you're 9 years old. It's like
get back on defense, bro. Like, what kind of habits are we building? Like, we're gritting after threes. But, I mean, there was even that when I was younger too.
Right.
Social media obviously took that to another level. But, we just, as kids, we watch a lot of NBA and we see our favorite players do certain things, and we're like, oh, like my goal is to be like, Kobe Bryant.
Right, of course.
Things that Kobe Bryant does.
Yeah.
And kids are gonna do what they see. So,
And that's why I put it on the coach and the parents. Like, you gotta, rein them in. You gotta control, their egos. Like, hey, chill out. We don't do that. Like,
yeah. And I know they play a lot of 2K, so
right.
They got the things where you hit the shot now
right.
and like they do these little dances and stuff. You're like, oh, I want to be like 2K. So,
right. That's just that's just the day we live in. And I wanted to ask you a few more things before we get out of here. So your trainer is Shine, right? He's been on my show multiple times. Is Rashid still your primary trainer, or I'm sure you work with a few, but is he still like your main guy you work with?
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Can you talk to me about that relationship of player and trainer and going through the years together? Because we talked about it when he was on the show with me and Andre Stojakovic, and we even brought up like Phil Handy and LeBron, and just when you that relationship between a trainer and a player and how important it is in your success. You know what I mean? I just wanted you to kind of talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Rashid or Shine is like my older brother.
Yeah.
And I've known him for such a long time, since I was 10 years old, and just to have somebody in my life that I can go to, let's say, first, like I said, like that when I was playing on the EYBL, and I'm like, man, like I got a wake up call. I'm like, yo, like we need to get in the gym and get better.
And for you being, a Sacramento guy, a community guy, how has that been for you?
I did have a kid, Gavin Sykes. He was at Capitol, and now he's at Modesto.
He's at Modesto, yeah.
He's at Modesto now. And, I would go check out some of their games, and I try to, talk to him and make sure everything's good.
I'm just curious, if you could speak to some of these kids and parents that it's not just D1 or bust, and even if it is D1, it does have to be a D1 that fits, right?
100%. Like, even if you have a D1 where it's not a good situation, don't feel like you have to go to that D1 right away. You could go D2, you could go JUCO, and if you go to National JUCO and you have a great year, you can get even better offers and get a place that fits you better. So yeah, it's definitely not D1 or bust. Like you said, there's a lot of great D2, D3 players.
Yeah.
And you can always, from there, make that step up,
right,
as long as you're improving and getting the reps that you need to improve your game. I want to be coached, and I want to improve, and if I want to stick in this game, I got to be able to, take criticism.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I appreciate everything that he's done. And I think the Kings are in a very good spot going forward. And I appreciate all the relationships that I've made with the team. And it's just great to, compete with NBA players that are on a high level. It just helps you elevate your game to a high level, and you can't help but get better.
Nice. No, that's good. Like I said, he just seems like a good guy. When you were playing with the Stockton Kings, was Bobby Jackson, was he coaching you during that time, yeah, he was your coach at that time as well, right?
Yeah, Bobby Jackson was my coach last year.
How did you enjoy that, learning from a Sacramento King vet like that, and that relationship?
Yeah, it was super cool because I've known Bobby for a long time. His son played AAU as well, so sometimes we'd play against their team. And first time I met Bobby, I think I was about 10 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, for him to end up being my coach on the professional level has been, great. He taught me a lot. And yeah, it was super cool because we play the same position.
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm saying.
He's able to, tell me things. This is pretty much what you need to keep working on to make it in the NBA. And his word holds a lot of weight because he's done it.
He did it, 6 man a year.
He's an undersized guard like me, and he's been in the position that I want to hopefully get to. So yeah, it was just when he would talk, I would try to soak it all in and just listen and learn from him.
Oh yeah, when I had him on the show, it was really cool. And because it's funny, because I just people because we took a picture next to each other, right? And like I'm 6'4", 6'5", and people saw how much shorter he was. They were like, I thought Bobby Jackson was like. So I was like, nah, man. I said, and I remember, like I said, when he was dropping 20 off the bench and things like that. And it's like for him to do that at that level, and he was going against like Kobe, T-Mac, all those guys, and doing what he did, it was just like, man, it puts it in perspective to people. Like, there's a lot of talent out there, bro. There's a lot of talent. And this pretty much be my last question to you. With basketball becoming such a worldwide sport now, right? Outside of soccer, basketball is now the number 2 sport in the world. It still was baseball, but just recent polls have kind of showed that obviously in Latin countries, baseball is still number 2 after soccer or football, as you guys in other countries would call it. But basketball's right there, man. It's number 2. It's worldwide. It's obviously got every country has their own league. You got Australia with the NBL. You got China has their own league. Like, it's really become this national powerhouse entity, and everybody, the Philippines love basketball. Shout out to Sean Chambers and all he's doing with the Philippines. It's become a worldwide loved sport, which also, though, makes it extremely competitive, right? Because now you're competing with the world, right? And what do you see with all this? Again, because I'm always interested in perspectives. You being playing at the highest level, competing at the highest level, seeing guys from all over the world, all over the globe, fighting for these spots and going at each other, but obviously getting the best out of each other. Like, what's your perspective on all this?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the NBA is going to get, a lot more competitive, and even, college people are going to want to come over here to the United States to play and hopefully get that NBA contract. And it's just going to keep getting more and more competitive.